أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي اللهم إنا نسألك الإخلاص والصدق والصواب في القول والعمل. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reward all of you first of all for coming here, for taking these 25 to 30 minutes of your time to come and benefit inshallah, and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make what you hear today beneficial to you, and for all of us, including myself first and foremost as well, to leave this session inshallah and implement what we hear. We don't want to come here just to listen and enjoy our time. Rather, we want to come here, take some little pieces of knowledge, whatever we can take, and even if it's something very little that you pick up from this talk, to go back and apply it inshallah. Before I start with the cream of the talk, if I may say, I want to share a story or a hadith but for Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam with you that's relating to that topic. It's a very beautiful hadith. The hadith is narrated by a companion, Talha bin Ubaidillah. Talha bin Ubaidillah, he says that and I'm paraphrasing the hadith and summarizing it in a nutshell, there's two companions that came and accepted Islam at the same time. Two companions, they lived in the Arabian Peninsula. Some of the narrations say they were from Yemen. They lived in Yemen. They came, they were non-Muslim. They met with Prophet Muhammad ﷺ in Medina. They learned about Islam, and they accepted Islam on the same day together. These two people, they were friends, they accepted Islam on the same day. Then they went back, and a year later, 1 year after they accepted Islam, one of the companions died as a shaheed in the battle. One of the companions, one of those two, died as a martyr. He died as a shaheed in the battlefield. The other one died a normal death a year after him. So you had one of the two died as a shaheed in the battlefield. 1 year exactly after him, the other companion died. So far, everything's normal, right? So Talha bin Ubaidillah, one day he's sleeping and he sees a dream. In his dream, he sees that he's on the day of judgment. And he's standing on the day of judgment with these two companions that died. One who died in the battlefield, the other one who died a year after him. And then all three of them are standing in front of the gates of heaven. They're standing in front of the gates of heaven, and this is in a dream, of course. He sees one of the angels from heaven comes outside of the gates of heaven, and he opens the gate for one of the companions. He opens the gate for which one? For the one that died later. Not the shaheed, for the one that died later. He opens the gates of heaven for him and he tells him, enter paradise. So that companion enters paradise. Then after that, he opens the door again and he tells the other companion, the one who died as a shaheed, the one who died first, but he died as a shaheed, he tells him, now it's your turn, enter paradise. And then after that, when he enters paradise, Talha bin Ubaidillah says, I went to enter. The angel told me, wait, not yet. Your turn has not yet come. So when Talha woke up, he was astonished for multiple reasons. He woke up, this dream didn't make sense to him. And immediately he went to the Prophet ﷺ to seek advice or to try to get him to understand the dream, what he just dreamt. So he goes to the Prophet ﷺ and he says, O Prophet of Allah, these two men that came and accepted Islam on your hands just not too long ago, just a little while ago, one who died as a shaheed, the other one died a year later, I had a dream about them, and he told him the dream. He told him, this is what I saw. Then the Prophet ﷺ told him, and what about it? Talha said, it doesn't make sense. How come the one who died a year later entered paradise before the one who died as a shaheed? Now to put this in perspective, I'll come back to the hadith in just a little bit. Everybody knows what a shaheed is? Yeah? A shaheed is a martyr, one who dies in the battlefield for the sake of Allah. Of course, in the Quran and through the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Prophet tell us about the virtues and the benefits of dying as a shaheed, of dying as a martyr. Somebody who goes out and dies for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to defend his religion, to defend his homeland, to defend his country, he's given the highest level of paradise. And he's given a great abundance of ajr. In one hadith, quickly, the Prophet ﷺ lists 6 benefits that a shaheed and only a shaheed receives. You know what they are? Number 1, a shaheed from the first drop of blood. Imagine one single drop of blood. The first drop of blood that leaves his body, all of his sins are forgiven with that drop of blood. Every single sin he committed in his life is forgiven with that single drop of blood. That's number one. Number two, a shaheed will not be punished in the grave. There's no punishment in the grave for a shaheed. Number three, a shaheed on the day of judgment, the Prophet ﷺ said that whoever is a shaheed on the day of judgment, he will not feel any of the horrific, the scary aspects of the day of judgment. He will be calm, peaceful, and it will be peaceful for him the entire day of judgment. Number four, the shaheed, the Prophet ﷺ told us that he'll wear on the day of judgment a crown that's full of pearls. He says one pearl on that crown is equal to the entire earth and everything in it. Imagine a crown full of pearls. One pearl is equal to the earth and everything in it. Number five, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised the shaheed that He will bless him with a beautiful spouse in Jannah. Number six, a shaheed, a martyr, is allowed to intercede for 72 of his family members to enter Jannah. What does that mean? With the permission of Allah, of course. If somebody is a shaheed, on the day of judgment, if some of his family members have sins and they have to go to hellfire to serve their time for those sins before they enter Jannah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will allow the shaheed to come and he'll ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive 72 of his family members and exempt them from the punishment of hellfire. And with the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will accept his intercession because he's a shaheed. So now you understand the status of a shaheed. Now what's amazing in this hadith, again going back to what Talha is amazed, he says, how come this person who died as shaheed didn't enter Jannah first? Rather, a person who died normally on his deathbed a year later entered Jannah before the shaheed did. And the Prophet ﷺ gave Talha a very short response or answer to this question. The Prophet looked at Talha, and subhanAllah, even in the narration, there's different narrations. While reading it, of course, it doesn't say that in the narration, but while reading it, I could kind of take a glimpse of the Prophet's response as if the Prophet is answering something that's common sense. You know, sometimes somebody asks you something that's common sense, you know, and you're like, okay, why is that surprising to you? 1, 2, 3 is the answer. You get that? Sometimes somebody's asking you something, to them it's intriguing, to you it's something simple, it's common sense. And the Prophet ﷺ answered the question in that matter, as if it's something basic and simple. And the Prophet ﷺ is looking at Talha as, why are you amazed, O Talha? Yeah, actually in one of the narrations, he asked Talha, and what's the problem with that? What don't you understand? Talha says, how come the shaheed didn't go to Jannah first? The Prophet ﷺ looks at him and answers simply. He says, didn't the person that died a year later fast an extra Ramadan? And the Talha says, yes. He says, and he prayed more, and that's why he entered Jannah. Imagine, a shaheed, again, with all the benefits that a shaheed gets, what didn't enter Jannah until after, and they accepted Islam on the same day. The other person entered Jannah more, and the reason the Prophet ﷺ gave us is that he fasted an extra Ramadan. That's it. He didn't die as a shaheed either. He just fasted an extra Ramadan. What this shows, and I wanted to start with this hadith to show you the significance of this month, to show you the significance of Ramadan. Do not belittle Ramadan in any way whatsoever. Wallahi, this is a blessed month that Allah has blessed. Allah has blessed this month, and He made it a blessed month for all of us. And for the ones who utilize this month correctly, imagine one month allowed a person to enter Jannah before a martyr. To enter Jannah before a martyr. Imagine us who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with Ramadan after Ramadan after Ramadan after Ramadan. And unfortunately, illa man rahima rabbi, except for the few who really utilize this month, I see, unfortunately, and we see a lot of people put this month to waste. Wallahi, we see people, they spend this month, the only thing on their mind is cooking the food and watching their TV shows during this month. Or they spend this month with the only thing on their mind is, when is it time to break my fast? They sleep all the day. When is it time to break my fast? So after I break my fast, I hit the gym for 2 hours. Then I go and I kick it and I play PlayStation or have suhoor or chill with my guys until Fajr time. I pray Fajr and I sleep. And this is very normal, unfortunately, amongst the youth and even adults. Some adults will spend the entire month playing cards the whole night until Fajr time. They pray Fajr, then they go to sleep. Unfortunately, some of our youth and our adults will spend it on a hookah bar, smoking hookah all the night. they pray Fajr, and they go to sleep. That's because, in my humble opinion, I believe that these people really do not understand what this month is all about. Because anybody who understands Ramadan, who gets a grasp of the value of Ramadan, you will not want to waste a single second of this month. Let me start real quickly. I'm going to list the top 6 benefits of Ramadan. I list these every year. I've said these every single year. I'll add a few things to it, but this just for us to remember and to build our motivation. 9 days of Ramadan has passed, right? Today is the 9th day, I believe. Yes? Today is the 9th day. Tomorrow is the 10th. So we're talking about 1/3 of Ramadan is almost done. 1/3 of Ramadan just went by. We have 21 days left. And I want to remind us of these benefits, so if we haven't utilized these past 9 days, it's never too late. Allah is the All-Merciful. Today's the night. Rejuvenate, remake your intention, and start as if Ramadan is starting today. Start with a fresh new start to worship Allah like you've never worshipped Him before during this month. Make your motto for this month that, oh Allah, I'm going to worship you this month, these next 21 days, like I have never worshipped you before. If you haven't been praying all 8 rak'ahs of Taraweeh for the past 9 days, say, oh Allah, starting from tomorrow night, I'm going to pray all my 8 rak'ahs. If you haven't been reading the Quran daily, oh Allah, starting from tomorrow, I'm going to start reading my Quran. The first benefit of Ramadan that I want to mention real quickly is what? It's the best benefit, or one of the best benefits actually. I can't say the best because they're all great. It's the forgiveness of all sins. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us that whatever it is that you've done in your life, regardless of how old you are, whether you're a 7-year-old boy, of course, a 7-year-old boy, alhamdulillah, your record is clean. Whether you're 14, 15, 16, or you're 90 years old, whether you're any age you are, regardless of the sins you've committed, whether you've committed every single major sin that's written out there, or whether you've only committed one sin, regardless of if you committed a sin yesterday, or you just committed a sin an hour ago, or if the sin was 20 years ago, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said during this month, you can have every single sin removed from your record. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving the opportunity to leave this month brand new without even a single sin. How do we do that? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us, Man sama Ramadan imanan wa ihtisaban ghufira lahu ma taqaddama min dhanbi. Whoever fasts Ramadan with sincerity to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he anticipates the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will forgive every single sin you've done. However, this requires true fasting. This doesn't mean just to fast from food. Everybody, alhamdulillah, I'm pretty sure if I asked you all to raise your hands right now, who fasts every day, all of you are going to raise your hands. You fast from Fajr till Maghrib. Almost every single Muslim on the face of the earth does that fasting. However, here the Prophet ﷺ is referring to whoever fasts with true faith, whoever fasts with iman, whoever fasts while trying to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will forgive all of your sins. That's the first benefit, the forgiveness of sins. The second benefit of Ramadan is emancipation of hellfire. What does that mean? The Prophet ﷺ told us that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Ramadan, He frees people, He emancipates people from hellfire. What does that mean? That means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chooses people and the Prophet ﷺ told us actually that's every single night. That means every single night, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will look upon all of His servants and He will call His angels. He say, oh my angels, so-and-so, and He'll call you by name. Say, so-and-so, Muhammad, Ala, Hanan, Reem, whatever your name is, oh my angels, I want you to witness that so-and-so is emancipated from my hellfire. That means he will not enter hellfire. What is different between that and forgiveness of sins? Somebody could have all their sins forgiven in this Ramadan, right? However, maybe after Ramadan they could go back to a worse lifestyle than they were before, or they might do shirk, la samahallah, and end up in hellfire. However, when Allah emancipates you from hellfire, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will guarantee that after Ramadan, you will not do anything that will lead you to hellfire. Because Allah is Al-Kareem. Allah is the all-generous. You know, if somebody is very generous and he gives you a gift, let's say somebody, think of the most generous person you know in your life. Your father, your uncle, whoever it is. Somebody that's known for his generosity. If he gave you a gift, do you think that generous person will ever come back and say, you know what, give it back to me, I want it back? No. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah is the all-generous. If Allah emancipates you from hellfire, does that mean you're not going to sin again? No, you might sin. Allah could emancipate you from hellfire tonight, and maybe right after Ramadan you might commit a sin. However, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ensure that after you commit that sin, He'll guide you to repent. He'll guide you to make repentance, to make tawbah, so that He could forgive you. So at the end, by the moment that you die, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ensure that you will not enter hellfire. And this, the Prophet ﷺ told us, happens every single night. Some of us, maybe right now that are sitting here, maybe already during these first 9 days, Allah emancipated us. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow all of us to be amongst the ones emancipated from hellfire tonight. Say Ameen. But remember, we don't know. Nobody on this face of the earth could come and tell you, Wallahi, I was emancipated last Ramadan. No, I don't know. That's why we need to continue to keep struggling. That's why we need to treat Ramadan as if it's our last. Every single day. Renew your intention, because this happens in Ramadan and it's an opportunity you don't want to waste. And this has nothing to do with how much knowledge you have, how much money you are, how old you are. You could be a 14-year-old girl who in the middle of the night prays 2 rak'ahs to Allah with sincerity, and at that moment Allah says, you know what? You are a young 14-year-old girl and all the other 14-year-old girls are playing right now or sleeping. I'm going to emancipate you from hellfire. Or you know what? It could be a 15-year-old boy who goes to his father or his mother and kisses their hand, kisses their foreheads and tells them, I love you out of sincerity. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will see that. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala out of His mercy will say, you know what? Just for that one good sin, you'll enter paradise and you will not enter hellfire. Let's not forget, wallahi, let's not forget the hadith where a prostitute entered heaven. How? How did a prostitute end up going to heaven? Because she gave a dog a drink of water, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saw her give a dog a drink of water. Now imagine if you do something goodness for another human being. Not a dog, astaghfirullah, or anything. Another human being. You see an elderly woman that you don't know, Muslim or non-Muslim, and you do something out of goodness for her, for the sake of Allah, and you keep it between you and Allah. You don't tell her, no, you don't go out bragging about it. If you do it out of sincerity, that action could be the reason that you enter heaven and not enter hellfire. That's the second benefit, emancipation from hellfire. The third benefit during Ramadan is the abundance of good deeds. The Prophet ﷺ told us that in Ramadan, good deeds are multiplied abundantly by 70 and even more. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could multiply every single good deed by whatever He wishes, and He is the Kareem. He's Al-Kareem. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the all-generous. So every single good deed you do, it's being multiplied in Ramadan. Every single prayer you do, it's multiplied in Ramadan. Every single recitation of the Quran, every single smile, you smile in the face of your sister or the face of your brother. Every single Salaam Alaikum you say, every single small or big action you do in Ramadan, it will be multiplied during this month. That's the third benefit. The fourth benefit is Laylatul Qadr. Laylatul Qadr, the Prophet ﷺ told us, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us in the Quran, it's better than how many months? 1,000, right? And pay attention, Allah didn't say it's equal to 1,000 months. He said it's better than 1,000 months. 1,000 months equals, I believe, roughly around 84 years. Wallahu a'lam. Imagine if you pray 2 rak'ahs on Laylatul Qadr, it will be recorded in your records as if you've been praying 2 rak'ahs for the past 84 years. And remember, it's Ramadan, Allah might multiply that by more. So Allahu a'lam how much more it is. Just 2 rak'ahs. Or imagine if on Laylatul Qadr, you make dua. Or on Laylatul Qadr, you go again, you kiss your father's hands or your mother's hands, you apologize to a friend, you do any kind of goodness on this night. And of course, this night, we don't know what it is. It's the last 10 days of Ramadan. And some people, some scholars assume, by the way, this is important to understand. Some scholars assume, or they take a guess, or they predict that it's on the 27th night. But there is no confirmation from the Prophet ﷺ or from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran that it's on the 27th night. All we know is that it's on the last 10 nights of Ramadan, and it's on an odd night. Either the 21st, the 23rd, the 25th, 27th, or 29th. So in order for us to make sure we catch that night, let's put it in our plan right now. Let's everybody go, when we go home, make it in your plan that the last 10 nights of Ramadan, every single night you're going to treat it like Laylatul Qadr. Every single night. It's only 10 nights out of a whole year. 10 nights out of a whole year. Every single night we're going to treat it like Laylatul Qadr. So we make sure that inshallah we catch Laylatul Qadr. The fifth benefit of Ramadan is the power of dua. Dua, the very famous verse of dua. وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي عَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, when He lists this verse that, oh Muhammad, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking to Prophet Muhammad, oh Muhammad, if my servants ask you about me, how can they make dua to me, or how can they, ask me for anything? Allah doesn't say, oh Muhammad, tell them. No, He directly directs Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala His talk to His servant, says, I am near them, let them make dua to me. And this verse was listed where? In between the verses of fasting. In the verses of Siyam, it's about a page and a half. In between them was this verse. To a lot of people, if you're reading the Quran, sometimes it might not make sense to you. What does this have to do about fasting? However, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is indicating to us that if you want Allah to answer you, this is the time. Ramadan is the time of dua. That's the fifth benefit. The sixth and final benefit, and there's more of course, but the ones that I'm listing, the fifth and final one is the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he said that for the fasting person is two gifts. Anyone who fasts, he receives two gifts or two rewards. He says his first gift is when's the first gift of a fasting person? When you break your fast. You're hungry and everybody wants to eat, of course. So you're joyful when you break your fast. Nobody's breaking their fast like, oh man, I'm breaking my fast. Oh my God, I wish I could fast another 2 hours and then break. I hope I'd assume nobody does that. So you're joyful when you break your fast. The Prophet told us that's the first gift for the faster, that when he breaks his fast, he's happy. Then the second gift, he said, it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give it to him on the day of judgment, and it will be a surprise from Allah. Nobody knows what it is. The Prophet ﷺ promised us that anyone who fasts, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward them on the day of judgment. However, what is this reward? Nobody knows. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, I have reserved that reward for myself and I will repay them for it on the day of judgment. Why is that? Because you fasted sincerely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You fasted not to please your mother or your father or your friends, or because everybody's fasting so you have to fast, or because it's cool to fast, it's a culture fast. No. You fasted, again, going back to the first point, imanan wa ihtisaban, with true faith and true sincerity. These are the 6 quick benefits of Ramadan that I want you to remind and use these to re-energize yourself. Lastly, I'll finish with this. The message of Ramadan. This is very important. What is the purpose of Ramadan? What is the message of Ramadan? I have simplified it myself into 3 points. This is for me, and you could add on to this, or you could find different points, and you have the right to do so. I found 3 main elements are the central aspects of Ramadan. Number 1 is Ramadan teaches us to break free and let go. What do I mean by that? We are programmed as humans in a certain way. We're programmed that we need to eat 3 meals a day, or some of us maybe 4 or 5 meals, wallahu a'lam. But we're programmed that we need to eat 3 meals a day. We're programmed that, you know what, I can't drink. You know, if you talk to a smoker, anybody who smokes, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable us all to leave smoking if any of us have this habit. If you talk to a smoker, if you ask him on any normal day, can you stay 5 hours without a cigarette? If it's a heavy smoke, I'll tell you, impossible, man. I know myself. I cannot stay for a few hours without a cigarette. No way. This is, I can't. Khalas. Don't even try with me, right? I've encountered smokers that are like that. They'll tell you, you know what, I can. Some smokers I know, they won't take long flights because they can't stay on a flight for a certain number of hours without smoking a cigarette. They just can't. They're programmed to think that they cannot. However, what do we see? Ramadan comes, and what happens to people who are heavy smokers that fast? They'll fast 16, 17 hours from smoking, right? We see that with people. We're programmed, we need to eat. Some of us will tell you, know what, I can't miss my breakfast meal. You know what, breakfast is the most important. I can miss lunch. I'll skip lunch sometimes, but breakfast, I must have my breakfast. I must have my coffee every morning. I cannot function without coffee. You tell someone, I can't study, I can't focus. I need my coffee every morning before I go to school, before I go to work, so I could focus. My mother was like that. My mother would tell us in the morning, you know what, don't talk to me until I have my coffee. After I have my coffee, come and talk to me about whatever you want. We're programmed to think that way. However, Ramadan comes, we'll go 16, 17, whatever it is, hours without coffee. Ramadan teaches us that we can let go and break through of any habit we have. And that's a message in itself. That's a message. If you say, you know what, you cannot leave that sin, I cannot leave watching TV. No, you can't leave watching TV. If you've left food and water, that certain soap opera, that TV show that I'm watching, whatever that's serious, I must watch it every single, that's your head telling you must watch it. You really can't leave it. You've left food and drinking. You've left a bunch of stuff. There's that one sin that you do with you, that friend, that bad friend that you've tried to get away from, but no, it's my friend. I can't separate myself from her or from him. No, you can. It's all really in your head. It's up to you whether you want to take that decision. Again, Ramadan is a blessed month, but only a few will taste its beauty and will utilize it correctly. If you want to be amongst this few, you must utilize the first thing. You must break through. You must be able to let go, and that's what Ramadan teaches us. If you can let go of any habit for 30 days, a bad habit for 30 days, you can let go of it for the whole year. If you can leave a sin, if there's been that one sin that you've been doing, you backbite a lot, or you watch something that's haram, or whatever it is, I know some youth that astaghfirullah, have a haram relationship where they talk to girls or whatever, girls out to guys, vice versa, all the year. However, in Ramadan they say, no, it's Ramadan, let's stay away, let's do it. If you could stay away for that month for the sake of Allah, you could stay away for the whole year. It's a decision that you gotta take. It's a decision that you have to take at the end of the day. And that's what Ramadan number 1 teaches us, that we can let go, we can break through. If we're not used to wearing the hijab, mashallah, I see a lot of sisters that don't wear the hijab outside of Ramadan. However, when Ramadan comes, they're putting on the hijab. They're coming to the masjid with the hijab. Even outside of the masjid, they're wearing hijab because it's Ramadan, which is a good thing. Mashallah, that's a great thing, wallahi. But this teaches that if you can do it in Ramadan, you can do it outside of Ramadan as well. It's just a decision you got to take. And that's the first lesson that Ramadan teaches us, that we can let go and we can break through. And we'll talk about this more in the future. The second message that Ramadan teaches us is that Ramadan is the month of change. Ramadan is the month of change. Any habit we want to change, we can change it in Ramadan. What we see is the world, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually gave us signs of that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala changes the world or the universe for us in Ramadan. What do I mean by that? The Prophet ﷺ told us that in Ramadan, the gates of heaven, what happens to them? They open, right? The gates of hell, they have what? They close. The shayateen are what? They're locked up. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala changes the universe, for aspects of the universe, just for this month, to show us that we can change in this month as well. This is also the month of change. The Battle of Badr, the Battle of Ain Jalut, major battles in Islamic history that changed the course of the world took place in this month. The attacks on Gaza that happened last year, that in my eyes changed a lot about the world, a lot about how we view things, took place where? In a month of in the month of Ramadan. The Quran, the book of change. The Quran is the revelation for change. The Quran is a book of guidance. If anybody wants to change, the Quran is your book to change. That's your guidance to change for the better. The Quran was revealed in Ramadan. All of these are a message that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sending us, that this month is the month of change. And if you want to change, utilize this month to change for the better. Inshallah, tomorrow's talk will specifically focus on this point and on how we can have all of our sins forgiven and be amongst the ones who enter, who are emancipated from hellfire. So I'll leave that for tomorrow night, inshallah. Lastly, the third message of Ramadan, in my humble opinion, is that Ramadan, and I'll finish with this, Ramadan is a month for you to rebuild your personal connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This month is a month for you to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Utilize this month to build that one-on-one connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala whenever you want, to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more, to read Quran, to feel closer to Allah, to feel that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is protecting you, to feel that you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more, to feel that whenever you need anything, you can go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before you go to your dad or your mom or your best friend or whomever it is. This is a month for us to improve that relationship through the Quran, through praying, through taraweeh, through coming for qiyam, for tahajjud, through being good to others. Build a personal relationship. I urge everybody, wallahi, to try to have at least, and this is the very, very, very bare minimum, but at least have 5 to 10 minutes every single night. Every single night, have 5 to 10 minutes where you're in your room by yourself, or in your basement by yourself, or in an area in your house by yourself, and pray 2 rak'ahs or make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where nobody is seeing you, not your mom, not your dad, not your friend, nothing. Every single day, have at least 5 to 10 minutes. Even if you're not praying, just make dua. Read Quran. Make this be, have 5 to 10 minutes where you're just sitting down and think and know and understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in these 5-10 minutes is watching you, and ask Him whatever you want. Anything that's inside of you that you want to just spill out or say to somebody, say it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Once we get in this habit, if it's just 5 to 10 minutes every single day, wallahi, I promise you, not because I promise, because Allah promised us in the Quran. Allah told us in the Quran, and the Prophet ﷺ told us in the hadith, that whoever takes a step towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will take steps towards him. Whoever comes, walking towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will come running towards him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to take the first step, and let's make it during this month. To build that one-on-one relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, take 5 to 10 minutes every single night. When you go home today, in your room, in your basement, wherever it is, sit down 5 to 10 minutes every single night, make dua, pray, try to feel and understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is looking over you and watching you, and say everything you want to Him. I believe these three components are the main messages of Ramadan. That Ramadan is the month of letting go and breaking through. Ramadan is the month of change, because sometimes we can break through and let go of things, but we don't necessarily change. What I mean by change is replacing these bad habits or negative habits with good things. Number three, this is the month for you to build your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept from all of us, inshallah. Tomorrow, I'll talk more about two things, about change and about how we can have all of our sins forgiven and be amongst the ones that are emancipated from hellfire. So if you want to learn, if you want to be truly one of the forgiven ones in Ramadan and one of the ones that enters paradise and is emancipated from hellfire, inshallah, come tomorrow. We'll talk more about that, inshallah, and we'll continue from there. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.